I saw her taking advantage of that. She told him that when you chew bubble gum and all of the sugar goes out, it becomes poison. I said to her, he looks up to you. He's following you. Don't take advantage of him like that. Leadership is a privilege. She never forgot that.
A passionate leader, a powerful speaker, and someone who truly cares about people in the community.
Bishop Dudley.
He is the senior pastor of New Life in Christ Interdenominational Church.
If somebody responds to you and does what you ask, that's a privilege. And my nature is to lead by nurturing gracefully, but I can be forceful if needed.
Do you think your time in the military helped you with the leadership abilities?
The military takes you and hones you, and especially as an officer, it's either up or out. One of my professors said, Dr. Dean Kinney, as blacks, we don't write enough. As a result of us not writing, we read majority culture things, dip it in chocolate and try to use it. And what we should do is we should write. In majority culture, a lot of times we give you these scholarly things, these wonderful things, but do they work in real life?
What did you write? What is Leading Through Storms?
Leading Through Storms is...
Hello and welcome. My name is Pierce Van Dunk. I'm here with my brother Corey Van Dunk, and this is Three Questions, the series where we ask someone who has written something worth reading to share a little bit about what they have written. We are here with Bishop Geoffrey Dudley Sr., who has written an incredible book. We have it right here with us. It is Leading Through Storms. We realize that you can't see it on our end, so we're going to ask Bishop Dudley to hold up his copy. And you can see his better than ours. It is Leading Through Storms, Successfully Navigating Ministry While Maintaining Your Mental Health. And Bishop Dudley, we want to thank you very much for being here with us today.
Absolutely.
Well, Corey, thank you for inviting me to be a part of your podcast and the opportunity to share. I'm excited to speak to your audience, and I certainly hope that our time together will be edifying for them. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our first question today is a simple one. It is, who are you? And you can answer that any way you'd like and go in any direction, family-wise, ministry-wise, author-wise, any way you like. So who are you?
I am a poor boy from Goldsboro, North Carolina, the youngest of 11, a PK, a retired Air Force chaplain, lieutenant colonel, 6 earned degrees, 2 of which are doctoral degrees, PhD man. I am a family man. I have 2 adult children who are in ministry. My eldest is my daughter, who's married to a fantastic son-in-law. Married her 43 years to a girl who was at my dad's church, who I pursued for years. She didn't come to her senses until later. And I'm a church planter. Churches, planning on planting others. I'm deeply committed to our community, and social justice matters to me. I love that question, who am I? It causes you to be reflective. And I tend to be a reflective person. I am a person who transparent to a fault. The book speaks to that. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about this. Not sure there are many bishops in the Lord's church that would share as much as I shared. I see myself as serving, and it's a privilege to serve. It's an honor to serve. My niche is leadership. And I once told my daughter, my son, 4.5 years younger than her, in their earlier years, he was a tween, she was a teenager. He looked up to her. I saw her taking advantage of that. She told him that when you chew bubble gum and all of the sugar goes out, it becomes poison. Who says that? Who says that? He's all concerned. He's
Yeah.
worried. I'm chewing poison. I said to her, I said, he looks up to you. He's following you. Don't take advantage of him like that. Leadership is a privilege. She never forgot that.
Mm.
She's a seminary graduate. He's a seminary graduate as well. Morehouse man.
Mhm.
But when they were little, I will never, and I shared that. And that's something I really believe. Leadership is a privilege. If somebody it responds to you and does what you ask, that's a privilege.
Yeah,
So when you
absolutely.
ask me, who am I would say, my nature is to lead. And my nature is to lead by nurturing gracefully, but I can be forceful if needed.
Mm. Mm, absolutely. You've got
Yeah.
you've got all those different tools in your belt to pull out as needed and as the Lord
Straight
calls.
Batman, baby. Straight Batman.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do
Got
you
the
think your time in the military helped you with the leadership abilities?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. The military takes you and hones you, and and especially as an officer, it's either up or out. You either perform to get promoted and do well, or you don't and you're out.
Yeah.
Um, and so the military really does hone that and in you, and the military has a tremendous amount to do with my skill set, but not only,
Mhm.
but not only, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit ahead of our layout here, but one portion of the book that really resonated with me was something that came from your military time was ATSO, ATSO. Um, uh, uh, shoot,
Ability to
ability.
survive
Yep.
and operate.
Yes. Uh-huh. That really resonated with me in the storms that I have been through in my ministry life. That really that concept connected so well with you're not there's no clear layout for what leadership is going to be, and you're going to encounter some chaos, you're going to encounter plenty of unexpected situations, and to have that ability to survive and operate is really really powerful, a powerful thing to bring over from your military experience. Absolutely.
You got to be nimble and you got to be ready to pivot. And they always say like a quarterback who just throws an interception, you got to have what's the word I'm looking for? Amnesia. You can't
Mhm.
remember. You can't wallow in your losses as a leader. You got to forge ahead, and the ability to survive and operate. I was very intentional when I put that in the book. And if when you read the book, you'll get a sense of I was intentional to do some things. One of my professors said in seminary, brilliant professor, Dean Kinney, Dr. Dean Kinney, is my systematic theology professor at now the Samuel DeWitt School of Theology, Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology. Well, anyhow, as blacks, we don't write enough. We don't put our we don't write. As a result of us not writing, we read majority culture things, dip it in chocolate, and try to use it. And what we should do is we should write. Okay. When I was very intentional about writing, and I've written before, this is IVP is my first published piece from a publisher, but I've written 5 books before, self-published. But anyhow, So when I was writing the book, I wanted to make sure that I put some scholarly things in there with respect to saying, okay, here is leadership. All right. And just in case you don't think that I have a grasp of the scholarship and the theories here, but let me show you these things through the lens of a praxis, a real, everyday, down in the dirt leading. Because what happens a lot of times in majority culture, and you hear it, no shade, just difference. You see this in majority culture. A lot of times we give you these scholarly things, these wonderful things, but how do they work in real life?
Yeah.
Do they work in real life?
Yeah.
And your life ain't my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Can I say that a third time?
Yeah.
Your majority culture life is not my life.
Yeah.
And my ministry and the ministry of African American churches, the Black church, is not yours.
Yeah.
So I was very intentional about bringing the theory, but the praxis. And so when you read the book, as your listeners will find out, when you read the book, I give you a story at the beginning. I give you the problem of what is going on in it, this whole storm motif that I'm talking about. And everybody is going to have a storm. And then I say, okay, now look at this through the lens of theory.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really wanted people to get that balance. But I've talked too long. Go ahead, Pierce.
We're here to hear you talk. So this is this is powerful. And this question of who are you is so relevant because as you're sharing, you are a Black man, you are a Black minister in the Black church in the United States. And as you've already expressed, both here in words and in the book, that is a unique context with unique needs and a unique experience. And the cookie cutter, big picture, majority culture theology and the books and articles and concepts and traditions that come out of that can be useful at times in that context, but our context needs its own concepts and books and authors and theologians to, as you've said, write more, speak more. And this book is a contribution to that conversation. So thank you for making that contribution.
Thank you. Thank you. And that is exactly, you said that better than I. And to be honest with you, I say to majority culture, hey, read this. You're gonna learn something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Read this. You're gonna learn something. You're gonna learn something. Not just about my situation. You're gonna learn how to lead better.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn how to lead better.
Yeah.
I got something over here you need.
Yeah. That's also something I really enjoyed about the read. It depicted you as a very layered individual, and you wear a lot of different hats. Being a student yourself, and being a leader, and different things that gave you different parts of your leadership abilities, like the military and people that you looked up to in your journey, and being a student and how it led you to being a leader yourself.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that layered is a good word. I hadn't looked at it quite like that. So the first thing that comes to my mind is a cake. How many layers of cake was it, Corey?
Approximately six.
I'm sorry. It was just wide open. I just had to step into that.
Approximately six. I'm picturing 6-layer cake, but actually infinite for you, for a man of your caliber.
Yeah, I couldn't help that, but thank you. Thank you.
So let's move to our second question. What did you write? What is this thing that you have brought into the world, you and IVP in collaboration, you and InterVarsity Press in collaboration? What is Leading Through Storm?
Leading Through Storms is the story of my journey of planting a church and the challenges of that. Leading Through Storms is the story of the ebb and flows, the joys and tears. It is the mistakes that I made, the victories that God gave. It is this very transparent story about the challenge. And by the way, in our recording, this is May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mhm.
It talks about fragility of mental health
Mhm.
and how I came on the edge and came back from that. So and I try to kind of lay that out in that way, and hence picking the title, storms, leading through storms, successfully navigating ministry while maintaining one's mental health. And so I talk about from stepping out of the military successfully, stepping into a church plant that blows up and then doesn't implode, but begins to have challenges, and how banks reneged on us, left us with incomplete construction. And I put that next to how banks have traditionally redlined our communities. And as a result of post World War II, um, African Americans were not permitted to use the GI Bill. The GI Bill is one of the most instrumental governmental tools that were used to raise and produce a middle class coming out of World War II. Let me put this, I'll get to the thing here. But coming out of World War II, you have the GI Bill. The GI Bill provided low interest loans from the government to start a business, to buy a house. In America, your first big investment and one of the largest things of equity that you're going to have is your house. You took a whole generation of which you refused to do that for black soldiers. And oh, by the way, you have redlined these communities so that they can't get loans either. So you couple that, and now you look now a generation later and say, well, what happened? Why don't you all have the same net worth as majority culture? Well, look what you did.
Mhm.
And so I said, so that hasn't stopped, because here I am planting a church. You gave me a loan. You then reneged on it, left me high and dry twice. How do I now pull out of that with a community of which you have done that to for a generation? I make that point in chapter 7, and I think it's very important for everyone, no matter your color, to read that chapter, because it uncovers this. What does that mean to ministry? That means I can't minister to my community at the same resourceful level that majority culture is doing. And oh, by the way, I'll say this and then I'll stop. When then we many times we African Americans come to churches and they're trying to make their middle class decision, and they see this very resourceful majority culture church, and they're wondering, well, what about this? You don't know your history.
Mhm.
So you throw shade on the black church, not understanding the battles that it's had to deal with while battling for you.
Mhm.
And you say, oh, oh, look at all of this. So, chapter 7, I speak to those things and are very intentional about that, of speaking to that. I hope I get the opportunity because I got this book in my head right now, trying to get ahead of myself, where I want to write about how do you now lead in the current toxic culture that we live in now.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like how you described it as a journey of joy and tears because you really can't have one without the other. And we don't really realize that you don't necessarily want to have one without the other because you can't appreciate the nice sunny times without appreciating the storm. And you're not really prescribing how do we cut out the storm because you can't, and you don't see it in the moment. You wish that the storm did less damage to you than it did, but you can't really cut it out. You choose how to navigate it, and there's plenty of different ways. There's good and bad ways, but it's all about how you get through it.
Yeah, because they're coming.
Yeah, it's
Yo,
coming
they're coming.
no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the way that you bring the reader in through your story, through your very vulnerable story, you touched on it at the beginning, how you don't hear very many bishops of major denominations like yourself sharing with such vulnerability. So the vulnerability with which you share your story, your church's story, the Black church's story, the societal and historic oppressions that have made it difficult to lead through storms, to thrive in the midst of those storms, some of which just happen without anybody orchestrating it per se, aside from the enemy, and some which are very intentionally orchestrated to be to come against the Black church and the Black population in general. We get to see an example of how that wears on somebody and
Mm-hmm.
how that affects one's leadership, and how do we get through those storms with our mental health remaining prioritized. So in the midst of writing this and reflecting on some very difficult times, what did that feel like, the writing experience of this, given that the experiences that you were writing about were so heavy?
Cathartic.
Beautiful.
It was and is a cathartic, a exploration of who I am and a defining of who I am and a reflection and strengthening of my faith.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Writing, I find, working with writers and being a writer myself, that is such a beautiful tool that God can use to take those heavy experiences, take those heavy times, and make meaning out of them. And as you've already expressed, it's a form of catharsis. Some of those just stay journal entries and the world never gets to see those. Some of those are meant to just stay journal entries, but some, such as what you shared in Leading Through Storms, get to be a gift to the world. And that pain that you've experienced and written about is something that the rest of us can learn from.
And writing in itself is a step of faith because you could think of it as, well, I have it in my brain now and I can use it for what I'm going to use it for, but it's an investment in the future. And people that are going to read it in the future, you never know who might benefit from what your story is and how you put the pen to the paper. Well, you never know how that might affect someone else in the future. So it's an investment of faith.
I love that because it sounds like, oh, you're paying it forward.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. It's an investment in the future. I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think myself one day laying before in a casket. I do. And I think about not morbid or anything, but that day will come to all of us. And that prayerfully someone will say that this book helped them.
Yes.
Absolutely. Corey and I were just talking the other day about how our culture in the majority culture has very few containers for thoughts of the finitude of our life and the way that all of us will be laying in that casket one day. We just kind of leave that off to the future, and we don't have any present here and now. We don't have very many present and here and now ways to deal with that. So that sort of concept of we're investing in the future with the things that we write, that can be one of those ways to deal with how short life is and how we won't be here forever, because what we record in our writing will live on beyond us, and God can use that to share what we've been through and the lessons that we've learned with future generations. And I think you've certainly done that with your book.
Yeah, I hope I have. I hope I have. And by listening to you guys, that's an affirmation, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I respect it deeply because it can be a scary thing to tackle.
Absolutely. So I'll move us to our third and final question. Why should somebody pick up and read Leading Through Storms?
Because I want to eat. No.
Want to eat the fish sandwiches in particular?
It will bless them tremendously. It will take them behind the scenes of ministry. A lot of people want to know, well, what's going on in the pastor's office? Now you can see.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to know, well, what is it like to pastor a large church? Now you can see. People want to know, what do you do when I have suicide ideations? Now you can see. You want to know, how do I get through life? When life starts lifing, how do I do that? How do I get through that? Strip away the fact that you're talking about leaders, and my definition of leaders really makes almost any and everybody a leader, because if you stand in front of anybody and ask them to do anything, you're using your influence. Therefore, you are a leader. And so don't get caught up into the whole language of leadership. Get caught up into the fact that life will come at you. How do I get through it?
Yeah.
That's why you want to buy this book.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll add that the book is very easily transferable out of ministry leadership positions into any leadership positions. It's written about ministry. It is written for people who are doing ministry, and it's richly theological and ministerial, but it is very easy to take the principles that you're teaching, the emphasis on mental health and on collaboration with others and support and leading in a healthy way. Very easy to take all of those principles and apply them to leadership that is not necessarily in church or parachurch. If you're leading in business, if you are leading in the home, if you are influencing people in any way, it's very easy to take what you have taught in Leading Through Storms and apply it to other leadership contexts.
I would agree.
Practical to a range of walks of life.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And you even draw out in every chapter, you've got a section specifically on leadership principles, a section specifically on lessons learned. So it's easy to be engaged with a at times joyous, at times heartrending story, and then very clearly pinpoint, okay, here's what Bishop Dudley's teaching us in the midst of this chapter. And it doesn't have to just stay in the church. Anybody who is open to being influenced by the Word of God and by sound leadership principles can take those lessons and apply them outside of the church.
Indeed. Thank you. And I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else that you'd like to add or share about the book?
Well, I'd like to share this with your listeners and your audience, and I appreciate them tuning in and listening here to the end. That they can follow me on all the platforms, on Bishop Dudley, PhD. And so I would love for them to follow and to check it out. I do a morning devotion every weekday morning. I call it Morning Manna. And I love for them to connect in those kinds of ways where we take just some impartations every morning. So I'd love for them not only to get the book, but to follow me as I begin to drop other gems and nuggets about leadership.
Absolutely. And we have all of the links to your websites and to where to purchase the book, where to follow you on social media and elsewhere. And we'll link the Morning Manna um, devotional sessions as well. And we really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Bishop Dudley, for joining us today and for sharing with us of yourself and about the book. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for having me. And also, if they're ever in the area, in the St. Louis area on the Illinois side of the river, please come and visit with us at New Life in Christ Church in O'Fallon, Illinois, 8 and 10. Hopefully, they'll get a word.
Absolutely. Well, we love to travel, so maybe we'll pop in one day.
Absolutely.
Check us out. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.